Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk a little bit about a show that you've heard of, I've heard of, everybody and their mum and their grandma has heard of. A show called The Simpsons, right? You read the title, right? Now, I, like just about everyone else on the planet, right, thinks that The Simpsons is a good show, right? I'm yet to meet someone who actively hates The Simpsons or thinks that it's actively a bad show. There's some people that don't think it's for them, right? And that's fine. Not every show is going to be for everyone, right? But I've never met anyone who just thinks that it's outright bad, right? And I just think that there's something kind of interesting about it because it spawned this big movement of American animated adult sitcoms, right? You get the likes of Family Guy and South Park, BoJack Horseman, Rick and Morty, loads of stuff like that. Futurama from the same creator. So you get so many shows that were kind of inspired by this one original idea that took the idea of an adult animated sitcom that was for all the family and kind of made it more for the adults. Because beforehand, animation was more, driven towards children. It was something for children. Children like cartoons, right? And I do think that intrinsically that doesn't necessarily need to be the case because that's like saying that only children can enjoy drawings. Only children can enjoy paintings, right? Van Gogh, he's for toddlers, isn't he? Right? And I'm not necessarily comparing Van Gogh to The Simpsons, but I would say that there hasn't been a show like The Simpsons that has been able to last as long as it has. I'm not talking about all the new episodes that are kind of rubbish, right? Wherever you think the golden age of The Simpsons ended, right? It lasted and was high quality for a good long time. Personally, I think that the golden age ended with series 11-ish. And I think that's apparently a controversial sort of thing because people don't like series 10 and 11. They think that Homer got too much of an arsehole. They think that everyone became too much of a caricature. They think that Ned Flanders got a bit too Flanderized. That's where the term comes from, where it's basically an original in-depth character gets boiled down to that one core trait. In Flanders' case, it was his Christianity. He became an extreme sort of Christian sort of extremist, right? Going on about the Bible thumping, all this sort of stuff, whereas before he was more of a complex character. But I don't necessarily agree with all of that. I feel like what seasons 10 and 11 did was, look, that show had been going on for so long at that point. It had done the Homer and Lisa story where they're all sort of miserable. It had done the Ernest thing. It had done the postmodern thing. It had done all these different, it had done the self-awareness, right? Where do you have to go from there, right? Because the show didn't have any sign of stopping anytime soon. So what exactly is there to do with a show like The Simpsons rather than do what was done in series 10 and 11, right? And I think that there's a lot of episodes in series 10 and 11 that are really, really good. Admittedly, it's when the show started to become more mixed, right? There's episodes like Beyond the Blunderdome, right? Which is basically just this endless fucking wanking off of fucking Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson's so fantastic. Oh, I love Mel Gibson. Oh, Mel Gibson's so hot. Oh, Mel Gibson is a celebrity, right? And there was an episode, I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was in series 10, where it starts off with Homer and the family going to the beach, and Homer is doing that fucking thing with wind sailing, where you're in the sky, and then he gets disconnected from the coil, and he goes flying, and he flies through the window, and it's like Ron Howard and like a bunch of celebrities from the time, and people dislike that episode quite vehemently, right? Because they act like it was celebrity worship. And personally, I think that episode was about celebrity worship. I mean, that's very blatantly what the theme of the episode was. And I don't think that would have worked using an in-universe character. I think having it be real celebrities in that instance actually lended itself to what was going on because it was about celebrity worship. It was about how these characters get, and these people all around us, right, get so enamored with random fucking nobodies that don't care about them, right? As he says in the episode, it's like, did Ron Howard ever do your laundry? Did fucking, Barbra Streisand ever clean out your garage, right? No, they didn't, and they're never going to. They don't necessarily care about you. I went to see Roger Waters in concert, right? He showed up probably in a limo, right? Turned up, did his gig, ranted about Israel, and he fucked off, right? Didn't stay, didn't do anything. He doesn't talk to the people. We're just a fucking audience as far as he's concerned. Just faces in the crowd. Nobody's, nothing. We're just the thing that made him who he is today, right? And that's all I am to him. That's what every Roger Waters fan ever is to Roger Waters, right? And that's kind of the case with celebrities, is that even the ones that are kind of aware of the audience that they have and try to be more respectful is like, you are idolized, you're turned into this thing that you're not, because at the end of the day, you are a human being, right? And I found that quite interesting. I've always liked that episode. And I've always liked the bit at the end where it's all about, the Museum of Hollywood Jerks. And people kind of dislike it. And yeah, I saw Mike Scully, the showrunner at that time, he certainly liked to, do these crazy action set pieces. And sure, sometimes the ideas were just kind of naff, right? Sometimes, like the Beyond Blunderdome example, is just pure celebrity worship. So not every episode is perfect in those two series, right? And it is where the series started to fall off, but there is still plenty of good stuff in there. I'd say between those two series, there is one series worth of classic era stuff, right? So if you really wanted to be pedantic, I'd say that the Golden Age ended at series 9. But wherever you think the Golden Age ended, right, it doesn't matter. 9 series, 20 episodes a series, let's just round it to that, right? That works out to something like nearly 200 episodes of amazing stuff that was consistently really, really good. Say there's like 20 crap episodes in total. That's 180 really, really good episodes. The only thing I can even think of that's even close to that is Malcolm in the Middle, right? Which had 7 series that were all really, really good. And even then, there were plenty more crap episodes of Malcolm in the Middle than there were of The Simpsons and that sort of age, right? And I just think it's really interesting because American sitcoms and American TV series, right? They miss a lot of the time and they make an awful lot of filler and a lot of garbage, right? But when they hit, they produce so much good stuff in a way that British sitcoms just aren't able to do. Think of Peep Show, for instance. That's probably the most prolific of any of these British sitcoms, right? And how many series did it have? 9. How many episodes are in each? 6. There's something like 54 episodes in total. That's nothing. That's like less than a third of Malcolm in the Middle, right? Way less than a third, right? And even then, Peep Show started to fall off on series 8, you know? Some would argue it started to fall off on series 6. And then, look at the other ones. In-Betweeners, 3 series, 6 episodes each, 2 movies that sucked, right? 18 episodes that are good. Fawlty Towers, 2 series at 6 episodes each, 12 episodes total, right? Mr. Bean only had something like 9 episodes total, right? There just isn't that much of it going around. Wallace and Gromit, one of the most esteemed fucking exports of British culture from the modern age, from the 90s, right? It only had about 6 episodes. And then it had one movie and another movie's come out recently. There's so little of it going on, right? But say if there was 180 episodes of Peep Show or 180 episodes of Wallace and Gromit and they were all of that quality, wouldn't that be so much better? Because I know it's possible because The Simpsons have proved that it's possible, right? Malcolm in the Middle has proved that it's possible. All of these various American sitcoms and shows in general that are really, really, really good have managed to prove that you can do quantity and quality, right? They have proved that you are able to make a lot of a good thing, and making more of a good thing doesn't necessarily reduce the value of it. Yeah, sure, series 28 of The Simpsons, fucking awful, right? Sure, it sucks. Sure, there's so many episodes of The Simpsons. There's probably more bad episodes of The Simpsons now than good ones, but the good ones still mentally, emotionally, and intrinsically outweigh the bad ones because they're the ones that have an impact on people. They're the ones that people watch for comfort. They're the ones that people get excited about. And remember, if we're talking about The Simpsons and you click this video, right, you're not thinking of The Simpsons as series 32. You're thinking of The Simpsons as maybe series 5, right? If you're thinking of, what's another show that went on far, far too long? Family Guy was good for the first 3 series, right? That's 20 episodes each. Actually, the first series only had 6. But still, the point stands is that the more of something that you make doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to intrinsically get worse. The Simpsons still makes good episodes now. Sure, they're good in a different way, but they're good all the same. And I just think that it's interesting how we have this sort of cultural divide between British and American television, where we like to take this sort of small-scale approach. We do these really short series, and we try and focus on just hard-hitting, all good all the time. And even then, I think that there's in-betweeners episodes that are fucking wank. Right? There's ones that are just downright fucking shite. I'm trying to think of a good example. It's hard because it is a really good show. But Peep Show, for instance, there's episodes in series 8 and 9 that are just kind of shite. I even think that Fawlty Towers had a couple misses, right? The Painters one isn't amazing. The one where he pretends that his wife is ill isn't amazing. But you know what? They had, the Waldorf salad, and they had the safety inspector. Say if there had been 10 series of Fawlty Towers, would that have made it a worse show? We would have gotten more good episodes out of it all the same, right? And all we would have had to deal with is the fact that we would know what a bad episode of Fawlty Towers looks like. But you know what? We know what a bad episode of The Simpsons looks like. Does that take away from our enjoyment of The Simpsons? No. And this is what I think is so interesting about The Simpsons in particular, is it's gone on for so long and there's so many good episodes of it. I would argue that there's probably about, I'd estimate there's probably like 350 good episodes of The Simpsons total, right? Maybe I'm being liberal with it. Some people would reduce that down to like 200, but all the same, 200 to 350 episodes of something being good, great even, that's amazing, that's outstanding. That's something like 80 hours worth of solid, worthwhile, emotionally hitting entertainment. That's amazing. Why can't we do that more often, right? Why can't we focus on quality and quantity rather than pitting the two against each other and acting like we can't have both? When at the end of the day, they're two sides of the same thing. They're yin and yang, and you need them both. Otherwise, you're either going to have Fawlty Towers, two series that are really, really good, or you're going to have, what's the thing, Grey's Anatomy, that just went on forever and was mediocre. Right? You'll have EastEnders, which is on series 67, and it's mediocre. I think you can have quantity and quality, and I think The Simpsons has proved it. And I'd say that The Simpsons is basically the American version of Wallace and Gromit, because it is that really, it's got that innocence, intricacy, and universality, where I've never met anyone who hates Wallace and Gromit, I've never met anyone who hates The Simpsons. I would say that the two kind of go hand in hand, and they show what our cultures are like. And that we are similar, but we're also different. We have differences and we have similarities, and I think that that's beautiful. And you know, I'd like to see more episodes of Wallace and Gromit, but I think that, you know, the tide is gone. They needed to do it when the iron was hot. They needed to strike while the iron was hot, like The Simpsons did. And The Simpsons kept striking the iron, and now the iron's kind of cold. But you know what? They still get the occasional tinge, occasionally the water bubbles. Something still happens once in a while. Bart's Birthday is a good episode. You should check that out. And yeah, that's going to be it from me. I'm going to walk off into the distance and slowly turn into a bokeh. Remember, there's like 300 fucking episodes of this Johnny Mozza thing, right? Some of them are fucking shite, but some of them are good. It's up to you to find out which ones are good and which ones are bad. But at the end of the day, would it be better if I'd only made 5 episodes of this? Would that have made it better? Let me know what you think in the comments. Take care, everybody, and bye-bye. Yeah, could I have a hot dog? I'm talking to a wall. Breaking the fourth wall. Should have done it with this Scottish seafood.